And I'm 16. How old are you?
16 as well.
Sweet. So we're going to introduce our little sketch, whatever you want to call it. We're going to call it Spilled Milk. Now, yeah. Many people know the common saying, don't cry over spilled milk. Now everybody knows that means that refers to the times when we cry over bad situations that can easily be cleaned up by God. So we just kind of throw a temper tantrum because of the little things in life. Now I'm sure we all know somebody who throws a little temper tantrum over the little things in life. Now, in the Bible, Jonah doesn't follow this simple rule. He is told by God to go to the city of Nineveh and tell people that they should turn from their wicked ways. However, instead of obeying God, he becomes a whale chow. After he repents, he gets back to his mission. When God's plan of saving the Ninevite people works, Jonah cries over spilled milk. God asks Jonah in verses 4 and 9 of chapter 4 if he has a right to be angry. Jonah retorted, "Yes, even angry enough to die." Jonah got angry over his shade plant dying, being eaten by a worm. Jonah said that he could die because he didn't get what he wanted and his plant died. I mean, who here eats salad? That's a pathetic reason to get angry enough to die. All right, so our skit is Spilled Milk. This is Angry Agnes. You'll be going through her day. It's a rough one, so Let's just get it started. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Oh my God.
Agnes, are you ready yet? Come on, Agnes. Gosh darn it, Agnes, you missed the bus again. How do you manage to do this?
I'm not ready.
I can't do this every morning, all right? I just can't. I can't.
I'm trying to get ready.
All right, honey, hop in. We gotta go. I can't miss my work.
Okay, we're good.
We're good. All right. Oh my goodness, my mouth. Oh my goodness.
Mom, I'm so sorry.
It hurts. It burns. It burns.
I'm sorry. You just ran into an old lady.
I'm just trying to take my kid to school, all right? And she just burned my pants.
You have kids in the car?
Hey.
I'm just trying to. I didn't know. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't try to wake up late.
Have a great day, sweetie.
Whatever, Mom.
Okay, class.
Well, I'm here finally, thanks to somebody that couldn't drive faster than an old lady. But you know, it doesn't matter what they think. It's always my fault.
Well, I have to come here every morning too, sweetie. Young lady, I do not have that attitude. You will go to the principal's office this minute.
Well, later that day.
How was your day, sweetie?
How was yours?
Well, my boss was a jerk and didn't let me get anything done, so I told him off and he gave me overtime.
Overtime?
On Christmas Day.
Oh, really? But that's Christmas!
I know, it is what it is, honey. I gotta keep my job, and it's okay, Agnes. I think we both need to learn how to use our anger in a good way. For now, it was just a really rough day, and we have a brand new one tomorrow. So, don't cry over spilled milk.
I think that's right.
Alrighty. I have a special guest who helped me write most of this. Yeah, Roberta.
Okay, just like Jonah, angry Agnes got angry over little things in life. It is important that we learn to use our anger in a good and effective way. Jonah's hatred for the Ninevites got in the way of God's plan. God is usually more gracious and forgiving than man, and we need to learn to be just as forgiving as God is. The end.
Alrighty. Thank you guys for having us. We wanted you to know that sometimes we shouldn't cry over the little things, because that's, it could be easily cleaned up by God, and it's just small things that we shouldn't be angry about. The bigger things, however, we should probably. So, ready? Alrighty. Give a warm welcome to Mary and Kira.
Good morning, church. I'm Mary, and this is Kira. We're both 17, and we are going to talk upon the topic breaking mad. And we are going to break apart the misconception that anger is sin, when in fact anger can really be used for good things in life. And we're also going to be talking about what it looks like, and what better person to look at than Jesus. So Kira will explain to you the story of Jesus in the book of Matthew, where he gets pretty angry.
Good morning, everyone. All right, so in Matthew 21, it talks about how Jesus, he was heading into Jerusalem. And this was during a major time of worship. People wanted to give the best sacrifice to God, and what better to have than the purest sacrifice? And they were selling these sacrifices, lambs, doves, you name it, to give to God in the temple. And the vendors, they were jacking up the prices, selling them ridiculous things. When Jesus entered, he saw it, and he was angry. So angry, he even flipped over tables. But he wasn't angry because of them selling it. He was angry because the vendors were exploiting the people by using God's name. And this is where Mary. And in the verses 12 and 13 in Matthew 21, it says, Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. It is written, he said unto them, my house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers.
Right, so we can all agree that Jesus led a sinless life, correct? There's no sin, none whatsoever. So his anger was justifiable, in that he was angry for a good reason. I mean, his people were being exploited. So he was angry for his people, not ever against them. His anger also had the proper duration, in that he didn't linger on his anger and sit by and complain about it, but he took quick and decisive action to improve the circumstances of those around him. And Jesus, he's risen, he's alive, so the anger that he used to carry out his works, it's now being used in us to fulfill the works of God. And that's something to be excited about, and we really want to stress that you don't have to avoid being angry. It's not something that is bad in your life or something that's always going to be sinful, but something that to use to improve the circumstances of those around you and to care for other people. And really, anger has created a lot of the things in this world. So Kira and I want to highlight some of the amazing inventions that people created because they were mad.
Okay, so give us a second here. So go ahead and turn to the next one. Next. All right, so the first invention that we found was the hippo barrel. And this was invented by Mr. Petty Peltzer in South Africa to help people in third world countries who need to carry water for miles upon miles. And by carrying this water, they had the potential to have spinal injuries and things. So this guy, by using his anger, he was mad at the struggle that people had to go through just to carry clean water, making these barrels.
Another invention called the penguin was created to remove obstructions from babies' airways immediately following birth. The region with the highest rate of child mortality is sub-Saharan Africa. In Malawi and other African nations, midwives use this plastic bird-shaped suction device to minimize the obstructions that babies have in their airways so they can breathe after birth. Someone was angry about dying children due to preventable circumstances.
All right, our next one is the Leader of Light, and I'm sure some of you have heard about this. It was created by Alfredo Mozart, who thought of a way to make light with used plastic bottles and a couple of drops of bleach. In places like the Philippines, electricity is very expensive, so Mr. Moser got angry because of the cost that poor people had to go through just to light their homes.
Another invention called Sweet Bites was created by Spencer Penn, and it helps to treat cavities and improve oral health overall. It's beneficial for people in countries where dental health is not easily accessible. Someone was vexed that people suffered from oral illnesses because they couldn't afford dental care, so this gum was created.
And finally, how many of you use bug spray? Raise your hands. I'm pretty sure all of you do. All right. How many of you like getting bitten by bugs? None of you. So it's pretty clear that someone was angry about getting bit by some little insect, and that's why bug spray was created. If you can see, all these inventors, as we said before, didn't linger on their anger, but they took action to improve the circumstances of others, which changed the world, in fact. And even if you think that this type of good anger can't be found in you, it's in all of us. So let's use it for good. Thank you.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm Mariah. I'm 16, and I hope you're enjoying the sermon so far. So, how many of you guys have heard the phrase, love is in the air? Yeah, it's pretty popular. So, what does this mean exactly? It's saying that love is all around us. You know, the birds are chirping, the sun's shining, everybody's dancing, everything's happy and good. But nowadays, I look around and I see mostly yelling, sighing, rolling eyes, neglecting problems that are just going to make the situation worse. In friendships, family ties, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, all kinds of relationships, anger is present. Though, as discussed earlier, anger can be a good thing, in relationships, it's not healthy. Knowing how to deal with this is what decides on the quality of the relationship. We're going to give you guys an inside look on an everyday couple, the Mad Dashians. They have just gotten out of their honeymoon phase and aren't really addressing their problems the way that they should be. Watch as they go through John Gottman's derived 4 stages of anger in relationships: criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt, and we'll see if they make it out alive.
The first step is criticism, which is the expression of disapproval for someone based on their faults or mistakes. This makes the one feel inferior to the other in a relationship, rather than an equal.
Didn't you get any of my phone calls?
Sorry, I was too busy to answer them.
I just wanted to have one nice dinner. You always ruin everything. Next time, I'm not making dinner.
I'll try and come earlier next time.
Whatever. Enjoy your food.
At least I'm putting food on the table.
The second stage is defensiveness. which is the state of being prepared or required to defend against attack or criticism. This keeps each participant guarded against the other, always preparing for a fight. This blinds one from realizing their own faults because they are so busy seeing the faults in the other.
Hey, you ready yet?
Just a minute. Should I curl my hair or straighten it? You can wait another 10 minutes. I'll curl it today. Blue dress or the black dress? I think I'll go with the black one. What was I thinking? The blue one. Okay. This is it, the blue one. I think I like the black one better. Oh, I forgot my purse. Ready? Yeah, let's go.
They're closed. We didn't make enough time.
Oh, so you're gonna blame me now? I was just trying to look nice for you, but I guess that doesn't matter to you anymore. No, next time, I won't even bother dressing up. Will that make you happy? Let's just go home. I'm not even hungry
The third step is stonewalling, which is the act of ignoring the other person. This does not solve any problems, but instead just enables the internal conflicts to fester in each participant, allowing the anger and disgust to grow.
I got you some flowers. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for getting mad at you for blowing up the toaster this morning. Where are you going?
The fourth stage is contempt. There is no going back once you hit this final step. By this point, all you have for your partner is utter disgust and hatred. This destroys one's image of themselves by the constant degradation from a loved one, ruining the relationship. This study has indicated that 90% of marriages will ultimately fail once they reach this final step of contempt. It involves dehumanizing one's partner, even causing any third-party counseling or help to become ineffective in most cases.
Aren't you going to sit down to eat?
No, I ate before I came home.
Of course you did. Why would you do that? You knew that I'd be making dinner tonight. Now what am I supposed to do with all of this?
Enough! You're always nagging me. Everything I say you twist, and then when I try to apologize, you just block me out. I don't think I love you anymore. You're rude, you're disrespectful, and you're always sitting at that dinner table. You're worthless.
That's it.
Though anger can be good, in the midst of a relationship, it can be devastating. Without addressing the problem and resolving the anger, they let it fester and build until it became too much. In James chapter 1, verse 19, it says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God." If the Madashians were quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger, then their marriage might not have had such a bad start. Thank you.
Good morning. Oh, gosh. Good morning. I'm Mark. I'm 28. No, I'm just kidding. I love that. That's an introduction for people. Hi, I'm Mariah. I'm 16. Good job. So about 3 months ago, I let the youth decide what our topic was going to be. And we had like 20-some topics to choose from. They went around and they all picked stuff that they thought they wanted to talk about. Every person wrote down some suggestions. And then through democracy, we voted. And we went down the line. We voted for the top 3, and then we voted for the top 1. And anger was what the youth, like 20-some youth, voted on to be, this is what we want to talk about. And at first, I was like, wow, that's weird, kind of. 1, man, that's kind of difficult to preach on. 2, that's a different topic than, not relationships or whatever, prayer or anything else. They wanted to talk about anger. And at first, I was surprised about it because I was like, that's weird. But after I thought about it and I looked around in the world we live in, I wasn't so surprised anymore. When I started looking at what they go to school and deal with, I wasn't so surprised anymore that they wanted to talk about anger. I wasn't surprised that anger was a prevalent issue in stuff that they deal with personally, with maybe their parents or their siblings or their friends at school, or maybe a bully. I mean, bullying is out of control now. It's all over the place. I guess it's always been around, but now it's becoming a big issue. Online bullying, everything else. But anger was really a difficult topic to do 3 months on. You're thinking 3 months of sermons, and that's Mondays, that's Wednesdays, that's Sundays. We're just focusing in on anger. And we really got into some of the meat and the deeper issues of anger. We talked about, how to deal with angry people. I think we call it how to kill an angry bird, I think. But we talked about how to deal with your own personal anger, what anger looks like. We went through different people in the Bible. Jonah was one of the ones we went into, where he gets all bent out of shape. Jonah's just angry I don't know if you ever read the book of Jonah. He's just mad. Like, he doesn't want those people to have redemption in Nineveh. He's just mad. Then he's in a fish. He's mad. Then he's on land. He's like, fine, I'll do it. And then God has forgiveness, and then he's mad because God forgave them. And it's really interesting because the whole story, we always hear about, God's wrath, God's anger and stuff, but it was God being the forgiving one and Jonah being the angry one. But we talked about a couple different stories in the Bible and people that were angry in the Bible, including Jesus. And then we went through, we talked about anger a lot. But this Sunday, I basically stepped back and I said, you guys have the floor. You can do whatever you want. You can talk about whatever you want. Anger, but do it however you want. So everything you saw today was pretty much just what they decided to do. I didn't give them points. I really didn't give you guys, I helped you when you came and asked about stuff, but everything, I didn't even know some of the stuff we did today. It was God, and we just practiced it yesterday. But I wanted to take a little bit of time and just kind of talk about some of the other things, some of the other important things about anger, because I think it's prevalent in our culture right now. Anger is kind of left unchecked. It's kind of left to just be mad at people. That's almost like a cool thing to do, is just to be angry now. If you're tough, especially guys, if you're tough, you're angry, no one messes with you, that's you're cool. Then you're not a loser. You don't love people, and you don't have compassion and smile and laugh and tell jokes and tap people on the wrong shoulder all the time. Ben. But it's not cool to be that in our culture, because our culture is counterculture to Christ. You know what I mean? our culture does not look like Christ. The world is not meant to look like Christ. The world is the world, and Christ is Christ. And a lot of times, we all want the world who doesn't believe in Christ, who doesn't accept him, who doesn't accept anything he has, and if he showed up, they would be mad he was here. We expect them to then act like him. It's weird, but Jesus himself even was angry. But like many things, we take something good and turn it to evil. Anger is something that is all throughout the Old Testament and throughout the New Testament, but it's hidden because we have taken anger and made it into a kind of bad thing in our minds. Like, anger's bad. Like, oh, they're so angry. They're so angry. They're so angry. But like Mary and Kira said, anger is not bad. Anger is good. Anger is good when it's used correctly. It's very good. They showed a bunch of inventions up there that were made out of people's anger. They were angry because there's people starving. They were angry because people couldn't get pure water. They were upset and mad, and they made a difference. And a lot of times we don't associate that with being angry at something. I don't know if you've ever heard of the story of the incubator for preemies. That whole thing, this guy basically made it. No one would listen to him. No one would talk to him. He was like, there's too many kids dying. They don't need to die. This is out of control. And nobody listened to him. The doctors are like, yeah, no, preemies, they're pretty much just dead. And so this guy sets up his incubators literally on a boardwalk. Like beach boardwalk. And just had them to bring out into the public, and it caused a stir, and everybody's like, whoa, what is this? This is weird on a boardwalk. It's supposed to be cotton candy and, funnel cake and incubators? What the heck is an incubator? But it got the word around, and now it's all over this country, all over a lot of countries, actually, to allow people who wouldn't have been able to live. They would have just died. They would have just given up on them. The baby would have been born. They would have been like, I don't know, and they die. But this guy, he gets angry at something. And just like in the story that they shared, Jesus gets angry at the temple people selling things, gouging prices. But he gets angry a couple other times. If you really read the Bible, Jesus gets angry. He's like, he calls Peter the devil. He says, Peter, get behind me, Satan. I don't know if you know this. Satan. This isn't relevant, but it's cool. Satan actually means adversary. That's the true definition of Satan. Satan is the adversary, which is interesting because he says, "Get behind me, Satan. Get behind me, enemy." This is his like protege. This is the guy he's literally gonna have lead the New Testament church into the next 2,000 plus years. And he's yelling at him. He calls the Pharisees a brood of vipers. Sons of vipers. Son of a snake. Son of another thing. He's mad. Jesus was mad. But if you study, and they mention this too, if you study when Jesus gets mad, he's always mad for somebody. And that's the difference between good anger and bad anger. And the first group talked about bad anger. The second group talked about good anger. The third group was about relationships, anger within relationships. It's not good in a relationship. Anger that festers is not good in a relationship. But the good anger, sorry, I forgot what I was saying. The good anger is used to help people, to change the world. Jesus is angry at people being exploited. Jesus was angry about people defaming God's name. Jesus was angry for God's people all the time. The difference between good anger and, like I said, bad anger is angry because it's not fair. I should have what they have. It's not right. That's not fair. It hurts me. It's about me. Me. Bad anger is always about being angry selfishly. So selfless anger is the good anger when it's for other people, and bad anger is selfish anger. One more thing. We're actually going to get out of here early today. I made sure whenever I guest speak, all right. No, just, okay. I probably shouldn't do this, but whatever. If any of y'all preach, I said y'all. If any of you preach ever, go somewhere as a guest, never go over time. It's like the unwritten rule of preaching. Javette and them, they know this. Like, when I this is not relevant, but it's cool. I got some extra time. Y'all can bear with me. We're still getting out early. When I was at Christ for Nations, we had a preaching homiletics class where half of your grade, 50% of your grade was your sermon. That was it. And then there was some tests and midterms and stuff. But at the time where you did your sermon, you had 10 minutes. If you went 10 minutes and 1 second, you failed. The class. He was like, you will never preach over when you're a guest. And so anyways, that's why we're getting done early. But I just want to say, as we get into this anger thing, there's a hidden anger, a popular anger that we didn't get to touch on here because we had those 3 groups and we used everybody already. But there is an anger, and it's called, does anybody know what it's kind of an anger that people use, but it's a little deceptive. Does anybody know when someone's being passive aggressive? Passive aggressive? We didn't get to talk about that anger. That anger is probably, in my opinion, probably the most poisonous anger. Because you know when someone's mad, they're just straight up mad. It's obvious. You're stupid. That's, okay, they're mad, right? But passive aggressive anger, I think, is more toxic to relationships and the body of Christ. People get angry, they're upset, they're mad, but they don't want to show it the normal way. They want to cut you down behind the scenes. So they'll smile to your face. They'll be like, oh, thanks for that. I appreciate it. Can you believe what they, like later on? They'll cut you down in situations where maybe you have no idea they're mad at you. But behind the scene, they're spreading around to destroy your name. Or they'll say something and you're not sure, was that sarcastic or was that real? I don't even know. And I think in the church, that's the easier one to get away with. Because everybody knows when someone yells and screams, like they're like, that's probably not godly. Jesus did flip tables. I ain't telling you, if you want to flip some chairs over here, well, Barb will be mad at you, so don't do that. But don't move the chairs. Don't even sit in them. No, just kidding. No, for real. Jesus was angry like that, but he would always immediately attack what's going on. He would address the situation and fix it. And there's the difference between modern anger and Jesus' anger as well. So his anger was selfless. Bad anger is selfish. And Jesus addressed that anger immediately. Passive aggressiveness lets it sink in, lets revenge be plotted out, a dish best served cold, right? But Jesus, man, he's on the spot immediately. Confrontation. He did not care. He wasn't afraid of confrontation. To address the anger, but address it in a way that he was not trying to further the anger, but to immediately come to a conclusion. Men, right? Let's just get it done with. Let's just fix the problem right now. But he would just take that anger and he would express it, he would state it, he would explain himself, and then immediately go back to loving people. And I see as a youth pastor, I see the youth, and I see the parents and the youth. Some of their relationships, or at least I always get the parents are always bad end, right? Because all you parents don't know anything. 16 is the smartest age, and you just go downhill from there. They're like, no, 17 is. But I see this. I see what happens is this anger. It builds itself up, and it sits there, and it never gets addressed. It never gets talked about. It never gets fixed, and it just sits like a cancer in the relationship. And so as we close here, I suggest that anyone dealing with anger, do you have a song ready or something like that? Can you? I didn't tell her that, but actually, youths, why don't you come up here quick? I want to address people that have anger. For maybe somebody that it could be at work, it could be in Y'all are not going to come up for this. Like, I ain't angry. What are you talking about? Someone who has anger for even like a dad that left or something that is some kind of relationship issue that you've had. You've been fighting with your spouse. You've been fighting with your children have been fighting with you. Your children have been fighting your children. Whatever. Your children have been fighting your dog. I don't know. But I want to open the